yesterday in a game in the Bahamas, UConn played for 567 people. USC have had games at home in Los Angeles, in LA. They have had games with 3,000 of their 10,000 seater stadium. I've said this before. Caitlin Clark can go literally anywhere and she would fill it up. Like if Caitlin Clark played a game in Ireland, let's say she went to the big arena in Belfast.
Hold on to your seats. Legendary coach Geno Auriemma is fuming, and this time, it's not the game that's got him fired up. I mean, despite Paige Bueckers' undeniable star power at UConn, the crowds just aren't showing up as they did for Caitlin Clark in college. So, what's going on? Is the hype starting to fade, or is there something much bigger at play here?
Being senile setting in for this man? Because he doesn't remember what he said a few months ago about Caitlin Clark.
Basically, Gino Auriemma, the iconic coach of the UConn Huskies, has built his career around nurturing generational talent and turning players into legends. So, when he speaks about his star guard Paige Bueckers, he isn't just offering praise. He's making a statement about her place in basketball history.
You've seen from Paige this time around in terms of her drive and her motivation to kind of get back to where she was her freshman year at the kind of the top of the pedestal there?
In some ways, Paige had a much better year this year than she did her freshman year. Freshman year, she was new and exciting, and everybody was all hopped up about the legend of Paige Bueckers. You know, when she came in, I remember I told her she was famous for being famous. She hadn't played any games, she hadn't done anything, and she was famous. I couldn't understand why.
Yet, as Bueckers dazzles on the court after her highly anticipated return from injury, Auriemma can't help but notice a glaring disparity. Where are the fans? Why isn't she receiving the same overwhelming support that Caitlin Clark commands?
She's already getting a shoe deal. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson has a laundry list of accomplishments that includes 2 MVP awards, and 2 national championships for the Aces. Or I should say world championships. They call it world championships in the pros. So I'm a little bit confused as to...
Well, Auriemma's frustration is palpable. He believes Bueckers is every bit as deserving of the fanfare Clark enjoys. After all, Paige has been a standout talent since her high school days, earning national recognition and becoming a centerpiece for UConn. But what Auriemma may be overlooking is the undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is more than just a star. She's a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon, and her impact on the sport has been seismic. There's no question that Paige Bueckers is an exceptional talent.
Paige is great. I think Paige is probably the leanest basketball player to ever grace our game. You look at her efficiency. She doesn't take bad shots.
Meanwhile, her smooth handles, court vision, and clutch shooting have made her a household name in women's basketball. As a freshman, she became the first player in UConn history to win the AP Player of the Year award, an accolade that even legends like Diana Taurasi and Maya Moore didn't achieve. Hence, Bueckers is a player who commands respect with her intelligence and skill, elevating everyone around her. However, her career has been plagued by injuries, causing her to miss significant time on the court. While her absence only heightened the anticipation for her return, it also allowed other stars, most notably Caitlin Clark, to take center stage and redefine the spotlight in women's basketball.
Paige Bueckers is probably the most universally liked person in sports. If you're into basketball, you know her as Paige Buckets. She was basically Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. But if you don't know basketball, you've probably seen all of the edits of her talking about her aura, seen her at Fashion Week and stuff. But I think everyone needs to hear her story.
When you hear the name Caitlin Clark, you should know she's not just a star. She's a movement. From the moment she stepped onto the court at Iowa, she captivated audiences with her limitless shooting range, fiery passion, and ability to take over games single-handedly. What sets Clark apart isn't just her talent, but her ability to create moments that transcend the sport. Her game appeals to both casual fans and die-hard basketball enthusiasts, drawing comparisons to NBA superstars like Steph Curry. She embodies a cultural shift in women's basketball, turning games into must-watch events. I mean, look at how many people turned up for her Iowa games.
41 points now headed to the championship game. How locked in are you right now?
I'm locked in, but these group of girls, they give me all the confidence in the world, and I just felt really good coming into this game about this group. We had a belief that we could come in here and do this when nobody believed in us other than the people in our program, and that's all that matters. That's all you need, and you can go shock the world.
This isn't to say Bueckers doesn't deserve the spotlight, by the way, because she absolutely does. But Clark's generational impact has created a new standard of fandom, one that thrives on spectacle and star power. For Auriemma, the challenge lies in accepting that the world of women's basketball has shifted, and the dynamics of what captivates fans have evolved. Even though Geno Auriemma has long been known for his sharp basketball mind and his knack for identifying and developing talent, it totally got him nowhere this time. You know what they say, right? Yeah, even the most brilliant minds can falter, and Auriemma's initial take on Caitlin Clark before the start of the WNBA season now seems like one of his rare mistakes. At the beginning of the season, Auriemma was surprisingly critical of Clark, dismissing her ability to transition her dominant college performances into the professional stage. He argued that the physicality and speed of the WNBA would be too much for her, implying that her style of play, dominated by long-range shooting and flashy high-risk moves, wouldn't translate well against tougher competition. The WNBA is a whole different ballgame, Auriemma said in one interview. It's not the same as running around college defenders. She'll struggle to adapt.
How do you think Clark is handling this?
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets it. She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
Yeah,
and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality. So there's a lot of learning curve, like Diana said. And when she gets it, she has elite skills that are going to really help her.
But as the season unfolded, Clark didn't just adapt to the WNBA. She thrived, silencing her critics and proving Auriemma's assessment spectacularly wrong. But what if I told you that Caitlin Clark's transition to the WNBA wasn't just impressive? It was downright electrifying. Yeah. See, from the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto a WNBA court, she shattered expectations. Her transition from the college ranks to the pros was seamless, and she wasted no time in asserting herself as one of the league's most electrifying players. Clark's game not only held up, but somehow improved in the face of tougher competition.
Caitlin Clark, to some degree, is saving the WNBA. It is an incredibly harsh truth. This league was in some trouble. They weren't making money. They were downsizing arenas. Nobody's watching the final. And it has been totally subsidized. This is the Caitlin Clark effect.
Her scoring became even more prolific as she adjusted to the faster pace of the WNBA. She didn't just shoot from deep. She did so with surgical precision, leaving defenders scrambling to cover her. Her court vision was unparalleled, making her teammates better while still finding ways to dominate individually. The league's physicality, which many thought would be her Achilles heel, barely seemed to faze her. Clark quickly became a force to be reckoned with, notching record-breaking performances that put her in a league of her own. She led her team in scoring, assists, and overall impact, consistently delivering must-watch moments. Fans flocked to her games, drawn to her ability to make even the most routine plays look spectacular. It became clear to everyone watching that Caitlin Clark wasn't just adapting to the WNBA, she was redefining it.
All accolades that are well-deserved. And I'm certainly not attacking Cheryl Swoops the person because I think she's a wonderful person. How do you talk about the Indiana Fever and mention a multitude of players and not one of them is Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, as a rookie is leading the league in assists? How do you do that? I told y'all that. I've argued with the great Andrea Carter, outstanding analyst for ESPN, right here on this podcast. I've argued with Janae Ogumake, who's an outstanding basketball analyst, and Monica McNutt, one of the preeminent voices of the New York Knicks, and what she's doing with her career. They know they got my support, all love. But I'm waiting for you to say I was right.
Thus, as Clark's star continued to rise, Gino Auriemma's early season remarks began to age poorly. The coach, who had once dismissed her as a player who would struggle against WNBA competition, started singing a very different tune. Midway through the season, Auriemma publicly acknowledged Clark's success, praising her ability to elevate her game in ways he hadn't anticipated. Now, this is a clear case of don't judge a book by its cover.
I don't know that Paige would be any bigger or less talked about, and I don't know that she would have the kind of impact that Caitlin's had.
While Auriemma's shift in opinion came across as sincere, fans were quick to call him out for his earlier comments. Many felt his initial take underestimated Clark's potential and showed a lack of appreciation for her unique abilities. Social media buzzed with fans questioning how someone with Auriemma's basketball pedigree could have so misjudged a player as transcendent as Caitlin Clark.
If I had Geno Auriemma on, the first thing I would do is, well, maybe not the first thing, because I'd want to get the pleasantries out of the way and not just like railroad the guy. He is a legendary coach, don't get me wrong. But I would eventually play back his Dan Patrick comments for him, where he said that Clark didn't have the right skill set for the WNBA and that her fans were delusional for thinking she would come in and have this instant impact. I'm paraphrasing, and get his revised take on that because he was very wrong. And it's okay. Like, sometimes we're very wrong.
Now going back to Paige Bueckers, the reality hasn't matched the expectations. Despite Bueckers' solid performances, the Huskies' games aren't pulling in the viewership numbers many thought they would. Auriemma, who has long prided himself on making UConn the epicenter of women's basketball, is now facing a stark reality. The landscape of the sport has changed, and UConn is no longer the only show in town. Adding insult to injury for Auriemma is the undeniable shadow cast by Caitlin Clark. Clark has been nothing short of a phenomenon, both in college at Iowa and now in the WNBA. Her long-range shooting, fiery on-court demeanor, and record-breaking performances have made her the face of women's basketball. Clark's games consistently draw massive viewership numbers, and she's become a cultural icon in a way that few players ever have.
Then last year, Paige Bueckers was officially back, and she led UConn to the Final Four again, where they lost to Iowa, but I don't think that this was their fault. The refs they wanted Caitlin Clark to get that championship, let me tell you. But instead of going to the WNBA draft, where she would have been a top 3 pick, Paige decided to stay in UConn for one last go-around, hopefully to bring a championship to her team. And we're seeing that play out right now, and I really hope she gets it. Oh, and don't get it twisted. She's also getting paid.
Throughout Clark's meteoric rise, Auriemma couldn't hide his jealousy. He made subtle digs at her playing style and questioned whether her success was sustainable at the professional level. But as Clark continued to dominate headlines and attract fans in droves, Auriemma's remarks began to look less like criticism and more like frustration. Now, with UConn struggling to capture the same level of attention, Auriemma is getting a taste of his own medicine. Auriemma's struggles to draw viewers highlight a broader shift in women's basketball. The sport is no longer dominated by a single program or player. The rise of stars like Clark has diversified the fan base and created a new era where attention is spread across multiple teams and players. Fans are looking for excitement, viral moments, and larger-than-life personalities, qualities Clark embodies effortlessly.
You're a great college player, like Caitlin was. The delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players.
While Bueckers is undoubtedly a superstar in her own right, her quieter, more traditional style doesn't generate the same buzz. The days when UConn automatically commanded the spotlight simply by being UConn are fading, and Auriemma's frustrations reflect the growing pains of adapting to this new reality. For Auriemma, this season has been humbling. He's realized that no amount of talent guarantees attention in today's crowded sports landscape. It's a bitter pill to swallow for a coach who has built his career on dominating not just the game, but also the narrative. Still, the Huskies' lack of viewership doesn't take away from Bueckers' incredible talent or the program's storied legacy. But it does signal a turning point. Auriemma must adapt to this new era of women's basketball, one where stars like Caitlin Clark have redefined what it means to captivate an audience. Whether Auriemma chooses to embrace this shift or continue to resist it remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The days of UConn's unchallenged dominance, both on the court and in the spotlight, are over. And for Geno Auriemma, that's a reality that's proving difficult to accept.
Well, let's put it this way. Like, if somebody put a big puzzle on the floor in front of you and there were pieces missing, but they told you they're on the floor here somewhere, go find them. That's different than somebody throws a puzzle on the floor and going, there's 2 or 3 pieces missing and they're not there, so now make a puzzle that looks like the one you want it to look like, and it won't. The rest of the season, it'll never look like the way I want it to look, or the way I envisioned that it would look, or that it would look like it needed to look at this point. So all we can do is just try to find what works that game.
In the ever-evolving world of basketball, it's rare to witness a player who not only dominates on the court, but also redefines the sport's cultural landscape. Her performances at Iowa were the stuff of legend, where she didn't just break records, she shattered them. Whether it was scoring 40-plus points in high-pressure games or recording triple-doubles with ease, Clark made every game feel like a spectacle. Her ability to take over games single-handedly, pulling her team to improbable victories, left fans and analysts in awe. When she transitioned to the WNBA, the stakes were higher and the skeptics louder. Many doubted whether her college dominance could translate to the professional level, where the competition is fiercer and the defense is more unforgiving. But Caitlin Clark silenced every critic. Not only did she adapt, but she also thrived, elevating her game to new heights and continuing to deliver jaw-dropping performances that had fans rushing to their screens.
You know, I know it's levels, but I'm just saying, I'm giving you small examples of players that came from college in the transition when it was time, when the bullets was flying for real, they showed up and they showed out. And I just see Caitlin Clark as one of those ones that's going to transition just fine based on her skill set and what she's able to do, especially being able to shoot the ball and create her own shot off the dribble.
Clark's appeal isn't just about her talent. It's about the energy and passion she brings to the game. Her fiery on-court demeanor, combined with her ability to create unforgettable moments, makes her a magnet for attention. Whether she's draining impossible shots, making jaw-dropping assists, or rallying her team in the clutch, Clark has an undeniable star power that captivates audiences. While the league has seen its share of legends, Clark represents something different, a bridge between the hardcore basketball audience and the wider world of entertainment and culture. She has the unique ability to transcend the sport, turning WNBA games into must-see events.
I think we're on the cusp of seeing the money start to roll in for these women. You've got incredible players like Caitlin Clark, who will be coming out shortly into the WNBA, and I think her notoriety is just going to, accentuate the league and bring more sponsorship and eyes on everything that we're doing.
Caitlin Clark's dominance as Rookie of the Year has been nothing short of breathtaking. From record-breaking performances to game-changing plays, she silenced every critic, including skeptics like Geno Auriemma, who doubted her ability to transition seamlessly into the WNBA. Clark didn't just meet expectations, she shattered them, proving she's not only ready for the league, but destined to redefine it.
The WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists, breaking, like you said, the assist record. To be able to do that as a rookie in the face of that much defensive pressure should have been unanimous.
Should have been. I agree. It should have been unanimous. And one of the things that sticks with me is, she was the first rookie to get a triple-double.
It seems Gino Auriemma is learning the hard way. The spotlight doesn't shine as bright without a generational talent like Caitlin Clark drawing the crowds. Will UConn find a way to reclaim the magic, or has the game moved on? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.